Hello and welcome to the first and probably only video in how I made my music. It's basically a sort of walkthrough of everything I did to create a song called Defense Against the Dark, for which I made for a music group I'm in called Chase Sunset. You can look us up on chasesunset.bandcamp.com or follow us on Twitter at Chase Sunset, or even like our Facebook page if you feel like it. You probably don't, but there you go. So basically, this is a sort of tutorial. Well, I basically show you what I did. It could be a tutorial. I'll teach you how to do some stuff. But it's a sort of driving rock song with synth elements in it. So I'm basically a bedroom producer with a cheap, shitty guitar. So this is basically. Anyway, this is the track, so enjoy, and if you do enjoy, then carry on watching.
What hides in the night that makes you cry? What's in your mind? Just outside. What hides in the light makes you fly to the back of your mind? No rest you'll find. I see we're moving on. I know where I belong. Don't think you're alone tonight. Don't think you're alone tonight. I may not reach where you are, but I'll be your last line of defense against the dark. No one believes, they never leave. The comfort you seek, you didn't see. I see we're moving on. I know where I belong. Don't think you're alone tonight. Don't think you're alone tonight. I may not reach where you are, but I'll be your last line of defense against. Don't think you're alone tonight. Don't think you're alone tonight. I may not reach where you are, but I'll be your last line of defense against the dark. Screams in the night, space is haunted, long gone. To be scared is what you wanted, all along. Don't think you're alone tonight. Don't think you're alone tonight. I may not reach where you are, but I'll be your last line of defense against. Don't think you're alone tonight. Don't think you're alone tonight. I may not reach where you are, but I'll be your last line of defense against the dark.
Great, that killed about 4 minutes. Sorry about the end there. My laptop can't actually handle playing a song. Anyway, let's go through this. So this was made really on a budget of nothing. All of the stuff's either through that costs any money is through sort of presents or other means. But I'll start off with the guitar and show you what I did to get the sound I did. So this is the sort of opening guitar here. Go on, you can do it. Solo. So that's it. Basically, it's quite a simple riff. It's in the key of E. Um, there was no amp or anything. I just plugged it into my £50 audio interface, M audio interface. The only thing of M audio that I have that hasn't broke, and so this is what it sounded without any effects on it. And I should also confess that I can't actually play as perfectly in time as that looks. So what I've probably done here is I've gone to item processing, dynamic split items, and basically split them up into their sort of like each individual note, and then quantize them. But what I did was I used something called Guitar Rig 5, which is great if you don't have any amps or don't have the space or don't have the money for them. It has hundreds of different amps, and this one was one I made when what I was doing was trying to get a Don Henley Boys of Summer guitar sound, but I couldn't actually find any sort of Guitar Rig tutorials for it. So I found out what components he used, and then I just sort of added them in together into a massive crazy mix, trying my best to get it to sound like that. Didn't really, but I got a sound that I liked, so that was fine. Carrying on from that, I believe the next sound that's played is synth. This was really me trying to rip off Bon Iver, basically. I was in a Bon Iver mood. It was made in Massive. I think it was more or less a preset. I changed a few of the sort of macro controls up here. If you never use Massive, it's a great synth. It's got loads of oscillators. It can make millions of sounds. It's amazing. Really is amazing. This one was just a preset called Creamy Winter. I'd changed the LFO, I think, a lot, and the intensity, and I believe the cutoff. Oh, and the attack. And then, so this is what it is without any effects. And I wanted it to be a bit more sort of wider, so I added Wayu's Mondo mod, which is basically a chorus flangey type plugin, and it gives it a bit more width. Which is what I was after. Anyway, after that we've got the drums, which is probably one of my favourite pieces of software there is. It's called Addictive Drums, and for like 2 years I've spent trying to get some good drums. And then 3 months ago I discovered this program, and it's just a free trial. But you get kicks, snares, hi-hats, which is all you really need. Who needs toms to make drum kits? Anyway, so that's all that is just an instance of that one. It's brilliant. It sounds like a real Mike's drum kit. In fact, even if I had a mic, I probably couldn't make a drum kit as good as this. On top of that, I added some EQ, which was basically a small cut at 869, which I think was for like a bit of snaring. Let me just. Yeah, it was basically to sort of reduce the rhythm of the snare a bit. The pattern, the drum pattern, I think, is just basically a pattern from Addictive Drums. They have a pattern bank, and I think I changed it up slightly with the sort of snares to give it a bit more sort of variation. And that's all that is. And it sounds great. Better than I could ever make any sort of real live recorded drums. Next, done that one already. So the next synth, I believe, is this one here, which is in the pre-chorus, and I basically wanted a broken organ sound, and I found it massive. I think it was more or less the preset I used. I didn't use any EQ or compression, which I probably regret now, but I can't remember to fix it. It's panned slightly to the left, and it just gives it a nice sort of lead into the chorus. That's not makes.
I see we're moving on. I know where I belong. Don't think you're...
This track is actually quite sparse, which is weird. This is, I believe, one of the guitar bits of the chorus, guitar chorus, like chorus guitar. That's the one. The chugging chorus guitar. It's basically one of those. I think it's reversed, and then I've added some automation, and so I've basically added the EQ, and so the cutoff frequency increases as it gets closer to the chorus. I've also got some meta flanger, which I didn't even remember I put on here, but this is what it sounds without anything. That doesn't sound like it's got. Oh, yeah. This is what it sounds. So that's part of the chorus guitar, and then I added a few plugins to make it sound a bit different. So it's got a nice flanger effect on there, and then some EQ, which is automated to sort of open up, just as a transition effect into the chorus. And then finally some guitar rig. I'll use some granular delay. Voices from Hell, as this song is about sort of nighttime terrors, I thought it was quite apt. Is apt the word? It was related. That's basically what I was saying. So this is what it sounds like. It sounds quite evil, which is awesome. Moving on, got the guitars next, all the chuggy chorus guitars. So they're all the same guitar. My wonderful Yamaha Strat, which cost about £100, plugged directly into my audio interface, and then using Guitar Rig, which is massively, gives a lot of variety, which is brilliant. So I have a rhythm guitar part. What I've done is I've sort of copied and pasted it, and then split it. One pan like 50% left, one pan 50% right, just to make it sound bigger rather than just having one sort of in the middle. Really, what I should have done is recorded it twice, but I'm a lazy bastard, so I probably didn't do that. Guitar rig wise, it's very similar, if not exactly the same, to the opening guitar. I think basically what I did was I changed it. I don't even know what I did to make it sound crunchy. I think I changed it to the bridge pickup on my guitar, and that's about it. I think that's all that I did, and it sounded like that. Oh yeah. Then basically EQ. I use REQ a lot, which is great. I don't think you need to buy a ridiculously expensive EQ. I think they all do the job that you want. Some people are a bit hung up over sort of analog warmth and how different EQs sound different. The only sort of good sort of plugin that I found that makes everything sound better is probably Wave's SSL channel strip. But REQ's great. It does exactly what you want. So what I've done is I've just sort of put a high pass filter on, and then with this one, I basically went through looking for sort of something that sounded, I believe it was good in this. So I sweeped through and looked through a place which wasn't like one that saw a frequency range which wasn't that great on the guitar, and I cut it. And then in order to sort of sit it with this one so that they sounded like sort of two separate things, I basically inversed that on the other one so that they sort of slot in together a bit. I'll show you how it sounds. So this is without. It's pretty subtle, but it helps. It does help. And then finally the lead guitar part. Which is also just this more or less the same sort of setup in Guitar Rig. I think I've had some reso chord here, which may have been from a different song, which yeah is turned off, so it's not even using that. But I believe I put that on the neck pickup, and that's how it. I think I also added a little delay to this. A bit more delay than the rest of them. Then next part of this was, I think the final part of this chorus was the bass. So some bass. I got this for Christmas about 7 years ago. I checked C4, I think it's called. It's a nice bass, although it's been used a lot. So this is basically a channel strip and Guitar Rig, just a preset. I don't think I even changed it any, but this is what it sounds without. Again, directly put into my phone and then. use SSL channel strip, put the bass, loaded on the bass preset, and then I'd basically add tweaks to the frequencies to get the sound I wanted. It's just the idea with EQ is just to test them out, like turn up a frequency or turn down with a frequency in this case, and sort of, oh, my computer's crashed again. Okay, and turn up and then play the sound, play your instrument if it wants to play. And then just sweep up until you find the sound that you like. And of course, apart from the kick drum and the bass, everything should have like a high pass filter around about 100 Hertz on it, because it just gives it means there's a lot of sort of energy in the low frequency areas, which can get used up very quickly, and that should really only be for the kick drum and the bass. So if you if you high pass everything there, then your mix always sounds better. I'm not even going to try and pretend I know what I'm talking about. Okay. Swiftly moving on. That's the second verse. We'll get to that. Okay, for the second verse, the only difference between that and the first was the addition of a bass and a few sound effects. I used a separate sort of channel for the bass this time. I think I wanted it to sound a bit different to the one in the chorus. I think, yeah, basically I tweaked it so I had a sort of high, the lower mid, well, higher end of the lower mid frequencies were slightly boosted, and the rest were more or less stayed the same. On top of that, use good old re-EQ. I believe this was just to get rid of fret brass. Let's see how it sounds with it. Yeah, that was just to get rid of sort of fret buzz and things like that. And then finally this one was again to get rid of fret buzz. But don't be afraid to use free stuff, because it's usually alright. Some more than others, but if you know what you're doing, then free stuff can be absolutely fine. The whole of Lily Allen's second album was made using like stock plugins that came with Logic Pro. And sound effects, I believe, were basically downloaded from a great website called either Looperman or Free Sound. Two great websites. You know, they were sort of so it's basically just a whispering effect, and then I added some EQ to sort of, without the EQ it was a bit sort of, there's a lot of sort of rumble, so I just sort of bandpassed it, and this is what it came out with. And then this one from Looperman, definitely from Looperman, was meant to be, I think, a dubstep type sound, and I just did it because it sounded cool. It sounded like a scream. Is there anything on that? Yeah, there is. Exactly the same, bit narrower bandpass there. So without quite, it sounded a bit too forward, so I bandpassed it and to put it more in the background. Then moving on from that, because this is more a sort of electronic rock type thing, I think I'd use sort of just some reverse cymbals and some reversed sound effects just to give it a nice transition effects, because it is meant to be more. No plugins on those, which meant I was probably being lazy, as per usual. And finally, in the second pre-chorus, I have a covered synth. Using Massive, of course, because I barely use anything else now since I got it. Looks like I tried to put a flange on it. Obviously it didn't work. Let's have a listen with. Yeah, so this one was called Cutting Edges, which was, by the looks of it, I didn't even change anything on it. I just put it in and it sounded alright. I think it's better. I always find that if it sounds alright, then that's the most important thing, rather than trying to make something from scratch in this original. Although doing that is that's cool too. Onwards, the next part was the middle eight. The rest of the second chorus is exactly the same as the first chorus. I can't be bothered. It was just copied and pasted. I'm not even going to lie. So this is the sound of the middle eight. There's basically using two massive sounds. The first one was sort of, I remember sort of, not really horror films, but sort of suspense films with sort of noisy sort of sounds. So this was a light organ synth, and then on top of that I used something called DB glitch, which I use a big pressure effect just to give it a bit more sort of variation, make it sound more interesting. And then the other sound here is light organ, which is just a standard pipe organ, which also has DB glitch on it. As many places, so it sounds different. Just the same big pressure effect every time. Digital pipe organ didn't make any difference. Many changes on that. Being lazy again. And then I was using the same position effects as well. Reverse cymbals and all that. And then I believe that's all the instruments. I'll sort of go over the vocals because they're sort of more important to a song usually, if I can find them. Like actually, unlike all successful and good producers, all of my stuff is completely disorganized and I have no idea where anything is. Here it is. So this, let's turn this shit off.
What hides in the night
Obviously this
makes
is not me.
you
I found a friend
cry.
who could actually sing.
Lurks in your mind or just outside. What hides from the light that make.
That's Dan. When I found out I couldn't actually sing after writing these songs, I had to actually go and talk to him and ask him to record for me. What have I got on here? First things first, I decided to make life difficult for myself and used Waves Tune, which is nowhere near as good as Melodyne. It probably took me 4 hours to do anything in Waves Tune. I don't know why I even used it. Secondly, a low pass filter to get rid of rumble, and then there was some room sort of resonance at 639, so I just sort of cut it out. This is what it sounds like with and without, if my laptop will work. There we go.
What hides in the night?
Yeah, if I should probably turn off the reverb as well.
What hides in the night that makes you cry? What lurks in your mind or just outside?
So
what hides from the light?
There's a bit of a ring.
Makes you fly to the
bit,
back of your mind.
Dry, which is a bit
no
more
rest
useful.
You'll find. I see we're moving on.
So I also use the SSL channel.
I know
which
where
is
I belong.
It really is fucking amazing.
Don't think you're alone tonight.
It just makes everything sound better. It could make my voice sound better. That's how good it is. On top of that, because it's only got 4 dials, which aren't useful to like. I prefer using the sort of parametric. Is it parametric? It's parametric EQ. I believe there was. Oh yeah, it was a nasally sound at this at about 984, which I wanted to get rid of, so I used that. And then finally some sort of
what hides in the night
bit more compression
that makes you cry. What lurks in your mind?
Thanks, Dan. And then that was sent to a reverb, which is this one here. Reverb and a delay. I used Waves delay here, probably because I could, because I had it. But any delay, all delays are the same. To be fair, if they can, like, if you can add more than one like tap, then they're absolutely fine. Then ran it through Waves IR1 on a plate. I lowered the I didn't, but there we go. I lowered the sound now. Lowered the reverb time now, and then it comes out. This is
what hides in the night that makes you cry? What lurks in your mind or just outside? What hides from?
Just give it some space. And all lead vocals have reverb and delay on them. It's just standard. In the chorus, what I did to give a sort of thicker sound, I used another one of Dan's takes to and pan that hard right, and then my own voice, unfortunately, hard left. So these are the sort of, and then another one of Dan's still in the middle. So it sort of gives like a left, right, and centre vocal.
Think you're alone tonight. Don't think you're alone tonight.
And with those ones, sort of stuff I use in there, recued with this was to get rid of the room sort of ringing.
Think you're alone tonight.
Dry up the signal.
Don't think
Then
you're alone
with me
tonight.
a lot of auto-tune.
I may not reach where you
Then
are,
SSL channel.
but I'll be yours.
And because I was feeling lazy and couldn't be bothered to line up the vocals properly in time, I basically used this, which is bittersweet. It's called a transient designer, so that it will either sort of accentuate any sort of transients that you have, like so T's, P's, fricatives and things like that. Because I couldn't be bothered to line up the vocals properly, I decided to sort of reduce the transients of the sounds so that they didn't build up or sound too out of place. And finally, to try and get rid of my nasally voice, I add a bit of EQ. And then Dan's right channel was exactly the same, except as his lead vocal, except there was also some bittersweet to do what I just explained. So this is what it sounds like.
Don't think you're alone tonight.
And then without the two sort of stereo.
Don't think you're alone tonight. Don't think you're alone tonight. I may not reach where you...
It's just a trick to make the chorus sound bigger. And I use that throughout. I think Dan has one harmony part which is in the final chorus, second part of the final chorus, which is
think you're alone tonight. Don't think you're alone tonight. I may not reach where you are, but I'll be your last line.
My laptop can't actually handle playing 4 tracks, which is wonderful. But it's exactly the same tune, mono, and some SSL channel, which is basically tweaked to match Dan's voice. And then my voice during the middle 8, it uses a screams in the night. This place is. This is a technique I learned off YouTube, which is the best website for learning anything off of. It was used in Reckoner by Radiohead, and all it is using the original vocal. Screams in the night, this place is haunted, and I'm long gone. And putting a massive reverb on it, and then reversing that, bouncing that onto another track, reverse it. No, in fact, no, it wasn't. It was reversing that take. All right, let's do this properly. Reversing the lead vocal. So. Putting a massive reverb on that, recording that, and then which gives you this. And then if you reverse that and line it up with the other voice, you get a nice reverse Radiohead Reckoner reverb effect. Screams in the night, this place is haunted, and I'm long gone. I'm sure Lost used it to death in every tension building scene they had, but it's a great effect. And apart from that, I think that's it. I can't think of anything else I did. What's this?
I see when.
Oh yeah, that's just me singing sort of unison with Dan in order to sort of thicken up the pre-chorus, so it sounds slightly different.
Makes you fly.
Bit more variation from the actual verse.
Rest you'll find. I see we're moving on.
And that's it. That's it for that. For the actual making of it. On the actual sort of master bus, before I sort of rendered it off, I put a SSL compressor master bus compressor. I put it on. If you go, oh fuck, I didn't mean to do that. If you go onto the Waves website, they have a load of presets. This one's a Chris Lord Algae stereo finalizer preset, which I changed the threshold just to get for the song. And then I rendered that, and I put it on. I started a new project to master it, and also to process the sort of mid and the side, which I'll go through now. I should have probably. Oh, there it is. I did name it properly. And we're back. So before I did any mastering on this, I probably shouldn't be mastering. I should get someone else to master, but there was no one who was willing to work for free, or on crappy equipment, or on a crappy song. But before I did any of that, something I found out in a Sound on Sound article was mid-side processing. So using a free plugin called Voxengo MSED. If you turn down the side gain and keep the mid gain as it is on one track, turn up the side gain, keep the side gain as it is, and then turn down the mid gain, and then send your track to both of those, then you can process the middle of the mid sounds and the side sounds completely differently. So this is what it sounds like. So you got your side sounds, and then just the middle. And this helps with sort of like if when your song's going to be played in sort of mono, like on a radio or something like that, you can process it so that it doesn't sound shit. Although it still does sound shit. Like, listen to this. Actually, it doesn't sound too bad. And so all I did with this was I used some Waves R comp. I think the vocal was sticking about a bit too much on the verses. So what I did was I just put a small compression on the mid channel, just so that the vocals sat a bit better into the mix. And then on the sides, it was good old Riku to put a big low shelf at 250, so that sort of it's sort of common practice that any set like frequencies below 250 should really be in mono, so you should be only hearing in the mids. And that's all I did with those two. And then finally move on to the master bus, and this will make my voice sound ridiculous. Hello. Oh, maybe not. So on there, what I've got is another compressor, G master bus, some EQ, just taking all. There's not much under the sort of 30 hertz in this song, so what I did was put a high pass filter, and then to add more air and sort of high sparkle and shit like that, whatever they call it, I put a high shelf at around 20,000 or 20 kilohertz. I used something called Soundford Bass Tightener, although I'd just done that in the sort of mid-side processing just to make sure that anything below a certain frequency, in this case 169 hertz, was in mono. And then finally, what everyone uses to make their song sound loud, I used a limiter. In this case, Waves L2, and then I just adjusted the threshold, put it onto high res CD master. I changed it from 16 bits to 24 bits, and then adjusted the threshold so that it sounded loud but wasn't distorting. And then, so if you want to listen, this is without mastering, and then with.
In the night that makes you cry. Looks in your mind.
Just makes everything sound loud.
Outside, what hides in the light.
But people like loud. That's what they like listening to. And that's it. And that's all there is. Thank you for watching. I know you've been probably bored to death, because I certainly get bored to death watching myself on video. And like, comment, subscribe, all that shit. If anyone actually watches this, then I'll be amazed. And thank you for watching. And also check out sounds a bit weird. Have a look at our Facebook and our Twitter and our music, because we spent some time. It'd be nice if someone listened to it. And it's free to download, so knock yourself out. Anyway, thanks, and feel free to email me. Feel free to email me. Thank you for watching. Alright, see ya.